Thanks for your participant to join SPE technical discussion group. Today we are happy because we have new topics, which is horizontal well. As you know that nowadays is very common in Indonesia, even though we have many opportunity and challenge. So before we move on, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Julianta. I am the host of this SPE TDG event tonight. So we will have a session delivered by Pak Gagok, Imam Santoso. So before we start, I would like to introduce who is Pak Gagok. So Pak Gagok, or actually I call him Mas Gagok, he's my guru. Long time ago during Schlumberger time. So Pak Gagok has many years of experience, I think more than 20 years, dealing with drilling operation, well placement, and he has many experience doing geosteering job around all of the world. And later Pak Gagok will introduce by himself also. And many reservoir has been drilled with many typical geosteering like level 1, level 2, or level 3. And later on we will see and we will learn together what kind of geosteering challenge and opportunities. So before we start, I would like to announce to all participants. So the rule of the games, first we're gonna listen all the presentation material given from Pak Gagok. And then if any question from the participant, you can write down in the chat box. And later on, after finish presentation, we'll continue with the Q&A session. So the moderator will read the question and we can unmute and then you can start deliver question to the speaker. I think that's the rule. And without any further ado, I would like to give the time to Pak Gagok, please.
Thank you, Pak Julianta. Good evening to people in Indonesia, and also as friend which is come from the abroad. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. So yeah, my name is Gagok. I like to share my screen now. So maybe you need to stop the screen first, Pak Julianta.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm very much appreciate to SPE Java and also Pak Julianta, the host for this the meeting, and I like the very happy to to present something that can be something changed later to us in terms of how we are going to do something with the with the horizontal well, right? So the title actually given by Julianta, that's about the new paradigm of horizontal well in Indonesia, opportunity and challenge, right? So I made around 35 slides in here where I take maybe 40 to 45 minutes in the talks, right? So and we talking about the state of art during horizontal well, and I put some more challenge. Then I'm going to present some like case study also that that was presented in most of the international symposium and also the event in the in Indonesia and also in worldwide. Yeah. So before going to details, this is it's me. I'm Gagok Santoso. I'm the so as you know that as Julianta mentioned that I'm starting well placement starting from the 2004, and my career actually start from Jakarta and Duri in Indonesia. So during that period, I drilled more than 120 horizontal well, which is mainly in Pertamina and also in the ConocoPhillips, and also the Chevron Pacific Indonesia in Sumatra. Then I moved to West Africa, based in Nigeria, and I mainly stay in the to cover all the sub-Saharan Africa well, starting from the Sierra Leone up to Angola. Then I moved to Kuala Lumpur to cover all the all the well which is in the Southeast Asia. Then the last 2 years in Kuala Lumpur, actually, I'm also managing geomechanics and also the drilling team lead also in Southeast Asia, where and how to integrate the well placement and also the geomechanics and also in the drilling portfolio together in Schlumberger. And then the last 1 year, I'm in the Saudi now, in just to cover as become domain champion, where I'm covering most of the technical support for Aramco and some of the client in the Bahrain. So I'm graduated from PPNS ITS Surabaya and graduated from Naval Architects. Yes, I know that I'm not a geology background, but I'm growing, starting from the ground, from the LWD engineers up to the field service manager in Schlumberger at the earlier stage in my career. And up to now, I'm the vice president of Ikatan Alumni ITS Luar Negeri in worldwide. Yeah. So I published more than 30 published paper, and then you can look searching some of the files is convenient for you to look at as become reference later. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to start with the first slide. Just like to give you a short overview of the well placement, horizontal well. Yeah. So what is definition? So I took it from the Schlumberger grocery actually. In Schlumberger grocery, I'm going to make it this one as the sorry, pointer options. Let's point. So I took it from the Schlumberger grocery, where the horizontal well, as we know, it's always come with the term of directional drillers, right? So it's deviated from the vertical well, where the as we know, it's going to be drilling in 90 degrees, right? But based on the this glossary, so anything which is is deviated from the around 85 degrees, 90 degrees, where typically we have penetrated a greater length in the reservoir, and the ultimate goal is to actually improve the production. Yeah. So so this is the typical well. So horizontal well is not all the well which is in the horizontal well. So anything which is deviated from vertical, and then the penetration in a single reservoir is greater than usual vertical well, this is called the horizontal well. So it can be like 45 degrees if your reservoir actually is the deeping formations around 45 degrees, then you penetrate a single reservoir along that particular length, and there is going to be called the horizontal well. So this is what we call it. So the ultimate goal basically is to improve the production. This is like a typical chart. Don't make it as a reference, but the this is typical charts of the vertical well and horizontal well production, where the horizontal well come with the highest production rate by the time and compared to the vertical well. Yeah. So that's by definition based on this glossary. And I know that from Wikipedia, it's going to be mentioned the same thing like that. Then they will be spiced up with some of the well placement and geosteering also in there. Right? So horizontal well, is it really worth it? So I think this is like a typical things that people will look at, because when we look at the risks associated with the horizontal well, it's do we really need to drill with this? Do we really need to spend our time to drill horizontal well? Yeah, in terms of risks and also money and everything, right? Yes, horizontal well, as I said earlier, it's provides some like excellent improvement over the vertical well. Yeah. Some cases in as high as 17 times production increase. This is something that increased, right? So yeah, production increase for sure. And we have like another side point that the horizontal well can also provide the disappointing result. This can be wrong application or inflated expectation, right? In terms of the drilling completion, and they end up with the disappointed production later. So this is something that we not really wanted here. So that's the reasons many of the project manager in oil operators who not really willing to to get a horizontal well as the first option compared to the vertical well. So Yes, something that we can do differently. As in my experience dealing with a lot of smart people in the oil operator, in the subsurface team, that the key of the successful well basically is how we are going to recognize the candidate. Yeah, that's the critical part of the success. Yeah, as you see is that as the workflow here here is about candidate selection, and then from the candidate selections come to the well construction, well cooperation, and the well management. So this is a kind of the circle that a project is actually lead for the success. Yeah. So this is something that we need. I think we have some voice in there. So I put this one as the circle. Yeah.
Please unmute all participants. Please unmute.
Okay. So in the candidate selection, well construction, well completion, and well management, this is a cycle, right? So the success of the horizontal well, keep in mind, is not belong to subsurface alone. Yeah. So the success of horizontal well is not belong to well construction or drilling engineering alone. Yeah. So this is like a team success. Yeah. Including the well management. Well management, I'm going to show you later in the last slide, and how one cases that we had actually well management are able to save some like the dollars, to spend dollars in some of the project campaign and the horizontal well. Yeah. So I put you one example of the candidate selection. This is a good example from from Chevron Pacific Indonesia. This is number SPE 109846. It's written by Yuni Budi and some of the expertise in in Chevron Sumatra, in I think it was 2004, 2005. Yeah. So this is candidate selection where we put both static and dynamic reservoir modeling together before come to the candidate selection for each. So the paper mentioned about then how actually the 3D kind of the geological model is introduced in here, and upscaling, then later on it calibrated by using the actual production by nearby well. So they come with the actual data before they pick up the target in the as the target in the horizontal well. So this is with this kind of success actually in this SPE written that it increased some of production in Bakasa field and Upper Manggala field up to 12,000 barrel oil per day, right? So this comes from the candidate selection alone, so, the success coming from that things, right? So another one actually is that coming from the one of the SPE, which is IPTC. It's written by myself, and we have my college also in Indonesia, and we have the some of the operator also, which is in Malaysia, where we put a candidate selection to incorporate both geology, reservoir, and the all the projects together. So come with the kind of the a brainstorm before come with the actually selecting the project, and then do feasibility study before it's happening. Yeah. So in this paper also mentioned about the not only based on the drilling perspective, but we also putting from the geological and petrophysical perspective in how we made it, including how we built the geomechanical study before we have to complete the horizontal well. Yeah. So something like this we have to be done in the candidate section. Yeah. So when looking for it, then general trends in horizontal well construction. This is something that I'm going to show you later. I'm not going to show you all the example in this slide, but generally horizontal well is that it's getting common. Approximately in my database here is 90 of well in Sumatra on 2007 alone. Yeah, in Sumatra. So it is including some well in Pertamina and also in Chevron, and the some well in Jambi, something like that. In my run summary in my database is around 90 plus. So this is only this is very kind of good welcome that we have the well in Sumatra, and the in the well construction also the section are getting longer, and then the target is getting smaller. Of course, if the targets like we have like 40 feet or some thickness, people still tend to drill with the deviated well, you know. So there is no urgency actually to drill with a deviated well or a horizontal well. Yeah. So this is something that's common. But nowadays we're talking about this thing where the people with the subsurface thing to be like the field become marginal. So this is something that we are going to talk in detail later, and how the you know, the horizontal well risk assessment need to be done in the marginal field. Yeah. So yes, horizontal well is easy to say, but not easy to deliver. You know, this is something, the concept that perceived by some people. Then we are going to cook it in this topic discussion. Yeah. So we come up with the horizontal well risk assessment. Yeah. So this is something that I have in my own personal source, the well from 2003 up to 2008 in Indonesia, where I took the sample from the 50 wells actually in here. Yeah. So based on my database, yeah, of course, when we drilling horizontal well, you come with the log anomalies. For example, like your resistivities come with the you know, with the in a certain percent higher compared to the vertical well. It can be like a polarization horn, something like that. So all the gamma ray readings may be like a little bit higher, something like this. Is something that need to be that people aware that log anomalies always happening here. So as you surprise here, that the first 5 things here that the we have come with the can slide by using the motor BHA. At the time, is using rotary steerable is not common, so we're using motors in the most of the horizontal well, and exit to non-productive zone, and deeper stratigraphy of more than 20 feet. So I'm not put it here. Deeper stratigraphy of more than 20 feet on the prognosis, right? And then the last one is early water break during the production. So this is something that make most of people disappointing on the early water break during production. So we need to find out what's happening in the water break. You know? So then on that IPTC also in the paper that I wrote earlier, that I put based on those, I put some like risks associated with it. And then I put it a questionnaire and how we are going to score the risks, and the put a likelihood also. So we come with a risk value, you know. So from that we can plot it something to the risk level, or where the well during the feasibility study fall is, you know. So for example, like the wells fall within the green and yellow, it's going to be like a low risk, you know. The well is capable to drill. But if we drilling up to red level here, then so we may end up with we need to come with the prevention and mitigation, and how we reduce the likelihood and the and risks also, you know. So at the end, the total risks is reducing, you know. So this is something that presented into this you know, into this paper. So yeah, I mean particularly in the you know, in the mature field. The mature field is something that we may need to do much further on the how to risk the you know, horizontal well to be in the acceptable level, you know, so we're able to drill well without having any issue, right? So we come with the mature marginal field, you know. So in marginal fields, I come with the definition. So I put this one from the Wikipedia actually. A field that may not be produced enough net income to make it worth developing at given time. So based on the project economic, it may not be sufficient. It's not economic to produce based on the given budget plan for well construction and completion later, you know. So this is something. And generally in marginal field is, you know, we have a lot of offset well. We have been produced, the field has been produced with many years, and then it may have some like water or gas, you know, produced in here. You know, I'm thinking here is the well actually has been producing oil earlier, than now is producing water. So what we have now is the 2 board group axis in here, right? So so in marginal fields always come with the old field with the remaining hydrocarbon, right? With the remaining hydrocarbon, for example, like some of the reservoir we expect from the project economic in the earlier stage that they have like 2 million barrel oil per day oil reserve in 2 million oil reserve in one of the reservoir, and then up to now we only producing up to 70% only. So based on the project economic, we still have 30% left in here. So we still need to swap all the all the remaining 30% to the surface. The oil need to make us the project become economic. So this is kind of the super axis there. And small isolated accumulation. So all field and small isolated accumulation where it's a commonly axis here. And then both having a major challenge. The first, maximus return for minimum cost. So there's less money isn't there, maximus return. We need to maximize return with the minimum cost. And then we need to get like relevant data to achieve the returns. Yeah. So I'm going to bring you one by one in the old field here. What my comment here is the geology and reservoir well understood. So we have good well control and we have good seismic ties. Yeah, generally in the old field we have like that kind of something. And in terms of the targets, generally is a bypass oil. Either the target now, since the oils move, the waters move, then we need to target the well near to the roof, which oil rims, or targeting the fault isolation and the stratigraphic traps. And the challenge now in the drilling, we need to precise, yeah. Since the subsurface gives you a very small, target. So then we need to make, precise in terms of drilling and accuracy in here, yeah. And then might have to drill past depleted zone, right? So if you are drilling into the several stacking reservoir, you might end up to drill in depleted zone in the earlier reservoir before entering your target reservoir. So that can be cause some like a lot of a problem with the drilling, right? And the fluid identification also later be a problem with the petrophysics, like water swap, gas impact expansion, and how you're going to differentiate the log if you are having the transition, right? Is that really water or oil? Something like that is something that's commonly happen in this oil field. And the complex lithology and distant contacts, and then a connectivity also. Some of the well we need to relate the pressure also into the into here. So the pressure information in this horizontal well is needed. So how we come with this? So this is like original field. Thick oil column in this is prior production, right? So this is reservoir that we put it in the in long time before it start the FDP, So once that we start as the field matures, the waters move up and then not necessarily flat, and we have gas expansion. Then now how we are going to expand this? As we know that drilling in the vertical well here might not be feasible because the oil rim is very thin. Yeah. So it's not, when you drill the vertical well here, it needs to be done like this, but we need to sweep all the reservoir here to the surface to make the project become economic, right? So the solution now is to drill fixed distance from the fluids or close to the roof. And distant to boundaries measurement, how we actually know the distance to the gas and also to the water, actual, not based on the models, right? So this is something that drilling needed. And also we need to get like high definition survey, especially if you're drilling in the extended reach drilling. And also we have the ultra high definition image, high resolution images, where if you believe about the fractures actually contributing the water movement from the water here into the production, then you need to isolate the fractures in the production, in the completion later. Then it's something that you need to get this, And then ICD completion is kind of mandatory in here because it's something that you can adjust later, the pressure based on the given pressure, given the effective porosity in the horizontal well. So this is something that you can adjust this one in the after the fact later, that if the reservoir is not producing as what we expected, then ICD actually can be adjusted, and how we adjust the pressure in a certain stages in the reservoir, So something that can be balanced. So at the end, with something that we can optimize the reservoir production in this field, So I'm give you the example here where I put this one from the this SPE number, which is written by Ben Jury et al. In SPE. where I put this snapshot actually in this SPE, where we put the roof and also we have the OWC here, and then you see here in the horizontal well also, as you see, we may have some like the irregular water contact, where the water contact in the marginal field is not always flat based on this mapping. Yeah, so we need to distance the boundaries, how we are actually mapping the reservoir or the roof and also the fluid level below here. We need to get like a technology that enable you to enable us actually to map this one, enhance how we assess completion. And also here, as I see in that paper, they put some static survey and also the HDS trajectory. HDS is a high definition survey where actually the TVD tolerance to move up to 10 feet in here, right? So in this paper actually is able to give another contact, what is that? Another, the fluid level, whereas actually improve the reverse calculation in the reservoir, you know. So I suggest you to look at this paper to look at something like this, you know. So I'm moving to the another field, which is the marginal field, which is isolated accumulation. As we know that in the marginal field, we have like all field and isolated accumulation, right? So I put a comment here that in the isolated accumulation, we have like limited upfront information, poor well control and seismic quality. And we have higher uncertainties in terms of reservoir extent and reservoir quality and the reservoir fluids. Yeah. So the challenge now in how we develop with the new few or single wells, maximizing information and achieving the objective and hitting the target where target location has uncertainties. It's very small windows. This is what I mean, right? So in the isolated accumulations can be like in the fault traps where the hydrocarbon actually being trapped in the just like behind the fault. And I believe this kind of the well as being we have a lot of kind of typical reservoir in Indonesia like this, you know. So so we have like a fault seal and then fault position based on the tip and structure tip and reservoir quality close to the fault. You know, this is uncertainty that we need to face before once we're drilling into this kind of the fault traps, right? So the solution that I suggest here using the model complex update, we need to use the how we improve the correlation by having the like the azimuthal images, azimuthal measurement to compute the actual depth here. So this is something, another example, I took it from the SPE 192061. It's written by Pranhats and also Freddy Jarkasi in SPE. So as you see here that as I see in that paper, actually in this fault block, it's filled by the water. It's conformed by the offset well here and some of the offset well, some around here. And then based on the offset well just nearby here, we have an oil present in this offset well. So it's mean the accumulation of the hydrocarbon basically is being tight based on this fault here. The fault actually is very tight. It's not able to move the hydrocarbon move from here to here. As you see in the structure map here, that the structure map is in the flank side on the in the flank side on the reservoir in the graben blocks. So so the challenge that they need to put here that we have the extended reach drilling coming from here towards into here, then the first criteria that they need to put before entering is that they need to pass the fault. This is the key kind of parameters to confirm that we need to get the oil inside this fault block. So the key parameters before drilling, actually, yes, we need to penetrate the fault. And secondly, we need to stop the well just like before entering into the reservoir here. The reason is being that because we have the in the reservoir here, based on a geometrical study, is they have like a different kind of the pressure. So they need to get this, you know, the casing set before entering into the reservoir. As you may know, if you have background in drilling, is that if you proven that the oil actually is accumulated here and not able to move here is mean the reservoir and the fault here is mean very high anisotropy. It's very tight, so very condensed. It become like the cap rocks. It's very strong. And when we calculate the cap rock integrity here, it mentioned the cap rock integrity is very tight, right? So in very tight mean the drilling also having an issue if we're not separating the horizontal well into this one with the landing well. So this is what we did. So what they put in this paper, actually they have the imaging logs, the blue dash here, the imaging logs there where they confirm the formation deep before entering. And then in the red color here, they confirm the fault actually that has been penetrated. Then for them to satisfy the subsurface that we are already in the other side on the fault block, right? So this is something that needed here. So it's a very good paper actually to know here. And then once to just stop here, they need to get like ultra deep resistivity measurement to stop before entering it, right? So as you see here, the TD actually just like right before entering it, right? While the ultra deep resistivity measurement able to propagate that the reservoir here is accumulated by 50 ohm oil, 50 ohm resistivity, where we translate that as the hydrocarbon. So we set the casing, then we complete the well with the with the goods. As written in the paper, actually the well's been producing almost 3,000 barrel oil per day. So this is something that's a good achievement based on this paper. So another one also in the in marginal field is anticline flying. Yeah, so anticline flying is it's always come like this. So this is a common that we drill deviated well. It's not horizontal well. So deviated well where we plan to drill the anticline flying where the oil accumulated here. Well, generally in the anticline flanks is come with the gas, and also we have water in here, right? So this is, I'm talking about marginal field. I'm not talking about the new field in here. Marginal fields come with these things, right? So the reservoir engineer always come with the a suggestion that we have like based on their study that there is oil accumulation in the flank here. So then we set the target. We need to hit this and drilling the well in anticline flank. So assuming based on the structure map given by seismic, it has the 6 degrees dipping here. So it's pretty much straightforward in here. And what happening if you have like the actual structure maps, you have like 5 degrees dipping. So you will end up to drill in the gas zone. You end up to drill the reservoir in the gas zone. Well, we're not able to penetrate the oil column in here, right? Because it's very much clear here that in every 1 degree decrease in deep, we have like 200 feet in verticals, right? So it results of 386 feet, almost 400 feet lateral displacement in here. So what's happening if you only have 20 feet oil column here? So it's gone. It's just like nothing. It was happening in the eastern part of Malaysia, where we end up subtracting for 3 times just to get the oil column here. So this is something that I could lesson learn as it is. So the solution that we propose actually is to get the dipping orientations and to get like proper actual orientation deep. Then we can enhance, we can resizing the target, moving the target later based on the actual deep given based on this thing. So I'm going to give you a slightly how the azimuthal measurement yet. The azimuthal measurement here is that the this generally is coming from the LWD images or coming from the waterline images here. So I'm just like give you an approximate something here, like the if you have like layer, we entering layer here, and then we calculate this one as a TVD, right? So this is a long measure depth, and this is a TVD. So we put this one as the ticks, right? So what happening? We have unknown deep, and we don't know what's the actual true formation thickness in here, right? Because we always refer TVD here. So what happening with this? All the information that we had now here, without knowing the formation deep, we always come with the approximate. Is that reservoir thickness is like this TVD or with this thickness. Yeah, so this is something that how we calculate the true formation thickness or true stratigraphic thickness, or people call the true vertical thickness, that was translated from the TVD versus the dipping formation dips coming from the borehole images. Yeah, so something that we can do. So then from here we can update the models either coming from the structure dips in like say I will say this in Petrel, you know, what is the actual formation thickness in here, right? So this is the information that we can extract from the formation dips. Yeah. So then this is another example that in one well we're drilling horizontal well here like this, and as we know here that the we have come with the TVD in the pilot hole here. The TVD in the reservoir is like that, and then TVD when we come to up structure is like this, and then when we're drilling down structure here like this, we come up with the so huge of the reservoir thickness here, right? So this is based on the TVD correlation, right? So what happening if we transfer this one into the true stratigraphic thickness based on known dip? So all those you know, structures calculated based on the actual deep, and then we'll have the similarities in terms of thickness coming from the offset well, coming from up structure here, and coming from down structure in the well here. So it's not really confusing to you know, to the subsurface team or the drilling letters and how to calculate what is my actual reservoir thickness in here, you know. So this is kind of the information that we can extract from here. So we need to get these LDVD images, also wireline images together, and or not together. Either one of them, it can be like the, you can use to calculate this, you know, this TVD. Okay, so I'm going to show you one example coming from the SPE 182-184. So this is the thing and how utilizing this one. I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain to you why it's happening, why this is important in landing, right? So as written in the paper here, that the completion design here is planning to set by the auto gas lift completion, right? So in auto gas lift completion, we need to get the certain number of gas above the oil to be able to generate the pressure burst above the oil. So then the oil, because of the differential pressure above the oil, then the oil then move to the surface. You know, this is just like the rough explanation on you know, auto gas lift completion. And then unfortunately, the well was drilled in the flank zone here. This is the flank zone. So as we know that in the flank zone, that because of deep uncertainties, in case this deeper later, then we may end up to drill and landed the well in the oil column. Yeah, but in case it's shallower, so we may end up to have much more exposure in the gas, which is not needed. Yeah. So in this paper mentioned about the use of the images, how to calculate the image and update the structures before we enter in here. So then it's enable them to land the well just right in the top of the reservoir, in the gas reservoir, and then entering into the oil column here, and stop before entering the formation here. So this is the thing that how we are following on updating the structures based on the imaging, real-time images. Yeah. So you may take a look later in the paper, just like to look at the workflow and how the workflow has been established to minimize the uncertainties. Yeah. And this is another one also. This is in Anticline flanks. I took it from the SPE 191-938. It's written by Falsan and also Fadi Maulana. So this one is not using the density images, but they using the real-time VSP from the LWD, right? So we put the seismic, we spot seismic just like to know the depth, you know, the velocity, just like right above here. The reason to know the velocity for them to upgrade, either the fault block here is come to the present depths, or come to shallower, or come to deeper, right? Why this is important? as I see that paper, that the need from the reservoir management actually to improve the production coming from these fault blocks and coming from these fault blocks and coming from the other fault block. So what happening if we miss these fault blocks, we may miss some like certain of reserves not being able to produce in this kind of the accumulation reservoir. So it's really important for the operator, for them actually to hit into the fault block before entering it here. So the adjustment need to be done right far before entering here. That's why they're using the real-time seismic waveform in just like to compute the inversion. The result that what they have here is that the conversion and velocity scale by we have like 0.6% on the VSP calibration, right? So basically they are shifting the reservoirs down by 0.1% in velocity. They come with a certain depth. They end up to change trajectory from here to here. What's happening? If they just like following the trajectory by this, they might end up not to hit into the fault block. Yeah, so they might end up again to lose some potential reserve to produce in real time. Yeah, so to produce later, you know. So this is something the risks associated with it. That's why when they need to get like the seismic while drilling, just like to compromise the actual depth before we decide to land. So this is something that I put it in this paper. I come up with another marginal field types. This is kind of something. This kind of the stratigraphic traps, it might not common in Sumatra, right? But it might common in the offshore, in the in Balikpapan or something like that, where we have like the stratigraphic traps can be like the subseismic, and the we have uncertainty in structures and reservoir quality, hydrocarbon charging, and pressure communication between one to another well. Yeah. So I have a lot of kind of experience like this, drilling, gaining kind of dealing with this kind of reservoir in the West Africa, where mainly we're drilling in the you know, in the turbidite sands in the deep water environment, where mainly the typical reservoir is accumulated. So the key challenge here is how we are going to maximize the information during landing and within the reservoir. Yeah. So as we know here, the pilot holes might not be able to hype this one. So, and how many pilot holes that are required by operator to confirm the reservoir? Yeah, it's not needed. So we need to get something to know on how we optimize the information in real time, improve the landing when they found the reservoir, and how we are going to optimize to stay inside the reservoir. Once we lost something like that, we need to get like information how we are going to adjust the a trajectory back into the reservoir back again. You know, so something that we need to know. The same thing as here in the satellite structure. So when we have like a lot of offset well in the platform, basically driven here, and then one of the subsurface geomodelers actually willing to knowing that we have like another satellite structures here, where commonly is a extended reach and also is a small accumulation in here, and unknown we have no information here. Yeah. So this is something like typical well that we it's common in when drilling a horizontal well. Yeah. So I'll show you one example here. We drill in the semi-deep waters in Malaysia that it's written by the Kiang Fei and Tommy Afandi, where we are drilling into the reservoir, and then they end up here. Then we continue drilling into the second lobe of channel. The second lobe channel is not really present in their seismic, not even called as the you know, as the reservoir as in their models, right? So this is called as the new field. This is called as a new reservoir, you know. So as I see in this paper, basically it's called as a new field that it's able to boosting the production in this well up to by coming from this reservoir alone is it's more than 2,000 barrels oil per day. Yeah, that hence is the still not even open the reservoir yet here, you know. So something that they need to know. So this is going to be open some like new opportunity also to have like another FDP letters, just maybe to hit the reservoir coming from the other side, by knowing and how much the lateral extends in the reservoir here, right? So this is something that written in this paper. So another one is in the extended reach drillings that I took it from the managing well placement paper written by myself and also in our college in Malaysia, and joined with our college in some of the operator in Malaysia. It's published in EAG paper last year, and how we are drilling landed the well in the extended reach drilling. Yeah, it's extended reach drilling is basically, so we come with we need to get the precision here before we land it, right? So we need to stop something, and this is gas reservoir actually. And then before we landed, we managed to get the update on our structures, and then enhance and how we are going to land the well, just like right in the top before entering the reservoir. And we managed to stay in the very much near to the roof in this reservoir. Yeah. So this kind of the put something as the example and how we are using the information before we drilling, and the optimize that information, enhance and how we are going to stop the well before entering, and maximize the reservoir exposure in the horizontal well. Yeah. So this is kind of the example that we had in the yeah. Another one is also in the unswept channel. So this can also in a marginal field where as you know, in a channel sense, we need to know the channel continuity and also the connectivity in it, right? So it's something that the you know, and how we are managed to stay here when we are landed the well. It's actually we know there's going to be a water here. Then once we know that's going to be this is a water, then we make decision to look for where the oil is, and we managed to build the trajectory up to the oil column here, and we managed well to produce, right? So this is something that we look at it, we observe where is the potential columns of the hydrocarbon, and we penetrate that in here. So this is written in this paper. So I'm writing this also in you know, in this paper. So I'm not sure it is called marginal field, but in the carbon reservoir generally is a very thick, right? But I put this one also as the you know, a key and in our topic now here, in case the marginal field is actually happening in carbonate. It's something that I would like to share you the lesson learned what we capture here. The challenge that we put in the carbonate basically is top of carbonates, and we have cars and fractures, and we have water contact. Cars and fractures actually is if you look at some paper, actually you put it in one petro and looking for the cars and fracture evaluation in carbonates, mainly coming from the Middle East, where a lot of reservoir in Middle East coming used by the you know, by carbonate. So the need to get like high resolution you know, images also to identify this, to identify the fractures needed for them to isolate the fractures by packers, you know. So hence the production is really comes from the porous zone later, you know, in carbonate. Yeah. So I'm showing one example that in this paper, that using the ultra deep resistivity measurement, where the workflow that they put here basically is, and if we see some like potential irregular gas water contact somewhere around here, then the plan, instead of going down structure here, then we need to stay level of parallel into the top of the carbonate. So this is happening when we drill into here, and we found that the actual water actually is irregular between 30 to 350 TVD below this one. So the well then decided to stay in here, to stay here. It's written actually in the paper. It's very good paper that you can have a look later and how actually the production is being optimized. And I put this one in carbonate field is coming from the SPE 186265. It's written by Mr. Muhammad and also Nadia Ardikani. It is coming from this field actually, and how the field actually using the ultra deep resistivity measurement to optimize the reservoir horizontal well in the carbonate well here. then able to have some like the dissolution channels in the and filling channels in here that cause some like it might change some like completion design letters, you know, and based on the known here, you know, it's written well in this well. So in this paper also written that they managed to stay in the reservoir for a long haul departure and boosting the production in this reservoir. So in marginal field also, I'm looking for the next papers that about the completion optimization, right? So as I mentioned that in the earlier presentation about the completion also can be play roles in the how we optimize here. So completion, we cannot really like this. The design on the completion, either using the open hole LiDAR or a slotted LiDAR or the gravel pack or the ICD, it has to become with the planning in earlier in how the risks associated with the reservoir, it's come, you know. So we can't really like simplify the completion design just to you know, eliminate all the success of the geostream that we had. At the end, we may end up with the disaster on the production later. So this is kind of the example in this paper written by David Mark and Wahyudin Swarlan, and how using the ICD, as I mentioned earlier, that the ICD is basically just like to know the effective porosity in each level in here. Then they're going to adjust the productivity index, the production index basically, and how we adjust that to be like homogeneous along whole departure. So the pressure at the toe here and also the pressure at the heel here is going to be equilibrium. So the water break is going to be eliminated or even extend to be prolonged. Yeah? So this is something that can be done here. So as we know in this field that it's faulted. Yeah, so we need to isolate some fault also in here, enhance production, right? So this is something that we had. So this completion, the highlight that they put in the paper actually in the how actually completing the well and how the completion actually is you know, written in here, you know. So something that they put something. Okay, so as I said in the earlier stages, in the earlier presentation about marginal fields, about drilling sequence operation, right? So about project management. So this is one of the key example. I'm not going to highlight the success on the geosync here, but I'm going to highlight the success on the project management and how they actually optimize a number of projects here into a single of dollars and the information, right? As you see here, we have one D1, D2, D3 up to D10 is representing the well, and A, B, C, D up to here is representing the reservoir. Yeah. So as we see here, we have like D1, D2 here, which is designed to be a pilot hole and deviated producers. Deviated producer basically mainly to produce the well here. This is one of the example on how deviated producer drill to complete the well here. As we see here, it's targeting so many kind of the anticlines in the reservoir that they need to know before entering. And then this is the expected accumulation, either gas, oil, or water, something like that. But they need to know, they need to appraise this before they make decision on drilling a horizontal well here and horizontal well here and the horizontal well producer here. So by simplifying number of well, by hitting the well here, see here, we have so many targets here before entry into reservoir to maximize the information here. Well, apparently from the drilling standpoint, we can just like go from here straight into the target here, yeah, without knowing this one, right? So this is called the holistic approach from the project management that to maximize number. Instead of drilling 15 well here, they squeeze up to 10 well here. Yeah, so this is something, the cost saving that it can be up to 25% on the overall project cost saving that was used by the project management to compute this one. Of course, this is a collaboration with the subsurface and how optimize the targets, you know, what the target placement and target kind of the things, and how they put together, and then the target can be simplified this one. From the drilling standpoint, since we targeting so many kind of target here, of course, they need to get like a powerful BHA to target this, you know, to target the most of the common reservoir in here. So then we need to get like the rotary steerable that has capabilities to, you know, to make the high doglegs. And we need to get like advanced LWD on each here to minimize the need on the putting waterline in this later to spend another you know, times to rim up, to clean borehole, to set the waterline in this complex borehole, because the doglegs is going to be up to 8 degrees dogleg in here. Yeah, so this is something that they put in the operational well pilot hole. That's going to be abandoned the well later, just like to get this in the pilot hole. So in the some of the holistic approach here is on how we're actually eliminating the pilot hole. The pilot hole need here that is related to here, that the in some of the reservoir we able to eliminate 2 or 3 pilot hole needs by having the ultra deep resistivity, like advanced you know, reservoir mapping LWD tools that able to map the reservoir before we entering. So by this thing, so we can enhance the landing precisely into the thin reservoir much before we entering it, right? So this is something that they put together. So it's written in this SPE by myself and also by Wilkins and with some of a college in Thailand. And I think you can just like look at this later in the SPE paper to look further, you know. So the key now here for all geosteering and all the well placement and also all the horizontal wells and how we actually the, you know, the 3D mapping in the horizontal well is the key kind of success in drilling the well, knowing as much as possible that we have, as we see here, when you're drilling a well like this, if we know that the reservoir beddings actually is deviated like this, then we know how we are going to interpret the reservoirs better, instead of just like looking the single reservoir propagation LWD or waterline tools to you know, to enhance our, not enhance, just like to fit our interpretation in the in each well. Yeah, so this is something that the critical information that we need to know. And also in real-time structures updates, that we should have capabilities in every single horizontal well, particularly in the in marginal fields, and how we have capabilities to update the structures based on the actual structures update in real time. So then the information that we got either from the reservoir mapping tools, either coming from the imaging tools, it also can be optimally used to upgrade our reservoir. Then the placement can be optimized. Not only the placement can be optimized also, but the you know, the actual calculation on the reservoir volume can be enhanced accurately. And most of that is actually we need to you know, we need to try to avoid as much as possible a subtract that, because of the we are putting the wrongly the well in the wrong target, or even worse, we are producing not what we expected you know, during the thing. So the failures is not just not the well itself, but the failures for us to deliver the expected production in this well were actually turned down with catastrophic issue that we're not able to deliver a number of the hydrocarbon in the FDP in reservoir. So that's all that I have. So the key now is you know, the circle that candidate selection, well construction, well completion, well management is a key for it. You know, so the success on every single horizontal well is not come only for single people, but coming from the teams and how we are communicate in the teams. You know, so the silo need to be eliminated to be able to you know, to deliver a successful horizontal well. that enhance the production in here. So the silo is also can be eliminated by, you know, I think now, I think everyone knows about the cloud computing concept that we need to construct all the, you know, work in a certain platform, into the certain things that, and how we are going to enhance the communication between one to the others, and how drillings actually communicate to, you know, the subsurface, not just like only by the email, also, but in the system and platform that can be integrated into the project management. You know, for what is just like to produce a better, you know, a better delivery in the horizontal wells, you know. So yes, I know that in Schlumberger particularly, I believe in the other company also developing their own, that we have the geosteering 4.0 that is planning to be done soon, right? Geosteering 4.0 is not just only geosteering, but actually how to integrate all the associate project management people here into one collaborative platform that enhance the communication into the platform. Yeah, so this is something that the future is need for us. Yeah, stay tuned with us. Thanks for the, that's all for my presentation. I'd like to come back again to the Julianta, the moderators. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Gagok. I think it's quite a nice and excellent presentation that you give to us. You mentioned about the paradigm, the old paradigm versus the new paradigm. And I'm curious also with your personal record. You have listing all the problem using a conventional, horizontal well last time in Indonesia or even in the world, right?
Yeah.
And the discussion is become interesting since we have many questions here, Pak Gagok.
All right.
And at least right now, I can record we have 5 questions from the participant. So without any further ado, I think I would like to give a chance to the participant, starting from number 1, from Mas Ivan. Mas Ivan, you can unmute and then start give a question directly to Pak Gagok, please.
Welcome, Mas Ivan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Mas.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Can anyone hear me? Hello?
Mas Ivan, you
yes,
there?
Mas Ivan, please.
Hey. I think I know these guys. Mas Ivan, you there?
Can you hear me?
Very well, Mas Ivan.
Okay.
How are you, Mas?
It's been a while, Mas Gagok.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah, good evening, everyone. My question is like a simple one. I mean, we have this CBM, right? Opportunity in Indonesia, a lot of potential. So I was wondering, I mean, few years ago, I think one of the customers in Indonesia was asking about the CBM applications for geosteerings. Yep. And the challenge was, yes, CBM, coil-bed methods. So I was wondering, because of the challenge in the the thickness and also we don't know about the log response and also geomechanics.
Yep.
Have we done this before? Do you know? Have you ever done this before? And then just curious about that one.
Okay. All right.
That could be an application in Indonesia as well, right?
All right.
Thank you.
So let me answer. In CBM, basically, it's we need to generate more fracs in the CBM, right? So in some of the pattern actually is written in the US that they making the pinnacle. The pinnacles mean they need to make like the let me write down in my presentation here that the pinnacle they need to drill like many of the subtract well, like the pinnacle, like the like many of well that connected in each, right? So this is the key and to make it this one, and generally in the in OBM. So I have that experience, one in the to drill one in US. Then I put this one also in China. And the first time in the coal-bed maintenance job in China in the I think it's AACI. It was the middle of China in 2005, where the drilling CBM basically is the key now is from the drilling standpoint. We need to get the precision how we are going to hit into the injector, because we need to be drilling with the underbalance to drilling and underbalance, we need to, it's up to, I think it's around 6 ppg or 6.5 ppg. It's not possible to drill with the, even with the water, right? So they need to drill with the foam. To get the foam actually to drill this one, we need to, we have like the, I'm going to write down in here. In the pen here. So from the well like this, they're drilling horizontal well here like this, right? So in here, we have one vertical well, which is drilled here. So this is called the injector well. Injector well here, when you're drilling from here to here, you need to land into the coal bed reservoir, then you need to intersect the well in here. So then the foam and also the, what is that called? The air can be injected, not the foam, but the air can be injected from here. So the drilling can be continue like this using the water basement, and the cutting still continue up to here. Then the water, the air can be injected to here. So this is the way to make it under balance. If we not make it under balance, that's going to be cause a lot of fracture and the cause a lot of mud losses later. You know, then if you have mud losses in CBM, that's going to be uncured. The water is just like flowing, you know, so the cutting is not going to move up, you know, so it's going to be like a big issue later in the CBM. The second ones that coming from the drilling perspective, if you look at the you know, the well here, so the well is going to be drilling like this. This is the well, the main well bores, and they need to make it like the well short tracks up to like this. And so this is the way to make it the you know, the wells more in the horizontal well, you know. So what happening after we drilling the well like this? So there in the CBM, we need to pull out all the waters from the coal beds, from the coal itself. So we need to extract the water. We need to close this one, and then we need to extract the water into this producer well, and we need to extract the waters. So when we extract the waters, it is unknown number, you know. That's the reason in the in discussion, I'm not really you know, the people involved on the production that time, but I'm using that, and during the meeting with our client in China, that the main issue was the facilities, right? So when you have the water extracted from the coal bed methanes up to the surface, then you have unknown number of waters come to that, and the waters also, some of them is poison, some of them is already hazards, then it's not good for environment, you know. So it's something that they need to extract that with unknown. So that's the key. Once the waters goes out, then all the remaining waters, you know, the remaining water in the coal actually is down, I mean up to the surface. So then later on, we can extract the methane gas after the surface, you know. Then the facilities, when they put the extract the gas methane surface, also changed, right? So this is something that a lot of work need to be done in the CBM. So that's all I have. I have the one paper actually written in 2005. Then maybe you can search in one Petro, and one of the CBM job that we drill in China that capture all the lesson learned, and from the geosteering perspective and from drilling perspective, I also I have a chance at that time going through underground. I have a chance to go like almost 500 feet underground to look for the coal bed reservoir. I don't know, call it coal bed itself. That typically in China that I know, typically the coal and the top coal, we have like almost 20 to I think 50 feet, 20 to 30 feet of the coal at a time. And particularly in the top, the coal is pretty much hard, you know. So this is something that we're targeting it. And the reason of being that, because in the hard coal, this is very much easy for us to drill. But in the lower side of the coal, it's typically a lot of water accumulated in there, and typically it's very soft. Then when we come to drilling, it always come with this stock pipe or something like that. So we try as much as possible to geosteer in the top of reservoir, try to avoid the lower part of the coal. Yeah. So yeah, we're able to deliver, I think, 2-3 wells at a time in the center of China to deliver this. Up to now, as I see in the website, not to know, but I look at because the well in 2005, I look at the things in 2011. Those companies been producing like CBM, the main CBM producer in China. So that's something that I know. I hope I'm answering your question, Mas Ivan.
Thank you very much for your sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank Pak Gagok, Mas Ivan. Yeah, just in addition, technically speaking, we can do it in coal-bed methane. I know that in Australia and China, but in terms of the, I mean, is it powerful or not, or in terms of the marginal or the cost? Yeah, this is challenge in Indonesia. We can discuss it later. And Pak Gagok, there is a good question from Mas Rido for the second question. Please, Mas Rido, unmute your speaker.
Oh, Mas Rido.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Julianta. Selamat malam, everyone.
Selamat Rido.
Cak Gagok, pripun kabare Cak Gagok?
Api.
It's been a while. We haven't talked together for a long time, ya Pak Gagok. And tonight I have a good chance to talk to you, Masya Allah. And Pak Julianta and Mas Gagok, I hope you are fine there, wherever you are.
We're fine.
Currently I'm in Surabaya. If I'm not mistaken, Mas Gagok in Saudi Arabia, and Pak Julianta, are you in Jakarta?
Yes, Pak Rido.
Oh, yes.
I'm serving SP Java right now.
Oh, yes. Also. Okay, Mas Gagok.
Yes.
I think I have a simple question actually. In the past, I was aware that sometimes formation pressure while drilling, like stethoscope, or the latest, the newer version, downhole fluid analysis, is incorporated with geosteering to conclude the fluid type and to land the well or to stop the geosteering. But of course, since then, there is an improvement or enhancement of reservoir mapping technology itself. So my question, how relevant do we run such measurements? So how relevant do we run formation pressure while drilling or DFA while drilling in order to support the geosteering? I mean, for sure, this geosteering technology already improved and enhanced, and maybe without using the technology I mentioned, we have high confidence to geosteer the well itself. Thank you, Mas Gagok.
Welcome, Mas Rido. So I'm going to, using the formation pressure while drilling is actually been proposed when we're drilling in the oil field. In the oil field, when we have the reservoir pressure also unknown, most of the information I got usually information pressures coming from the reservoir engineer, where the reservoir engineers is generally come from the either Eclipse simulation or all the simulation that has been done in there based on the reservoir drawdown in the reservoir. So one case actually in Angsi field in Malaysia, where we initiate to drill the well and putting the formation pressure while drilling. The reasons being that is to understand the actual reservoir pressure. Is that reservoir pressure actually depleted or not depleted? So we just drilled the well, not using a pilot hole, we're drilling the well. Then what we had actually is that the expected reservoir pressure coming from the reservoir modeling before drilling is actually around 1,600 psi. And then when we took the pressure from the formation pressure while drilling, at that time we're using stethoscope, the measurement from the LVDT, that we got additional 300 psi over, right? So from that, what the message I got from the reservoir engineer, that we got like additional information that actually the field still produce is capable enough to produce up to certain number of years before it's actually come to depleted. So instead of calling the well as actually depleted, then actually is able to produce that. From that, also is using that information in real time that enhance the, to understand how we are going to put the future well in FTP, right? So that's the first one. The second well, actually, we have one well in Nigeria, right? So in Nigeria, when we know this channel sand in the continental shelf, where we need to know when we hit into reservoir, we need to know that the well is actually connected or not connected. Yeah. So the only way to know this connectivity is through the pressure. So this is something that we need to know from the pressure standpoint. Right? So this the one. But as we know, I think become the champion also in the past. When we work together, that the future kind of approach in geostudies and how to enhance productivity in real time, right? So how we know they're in real time, right? So in most of the workflow that we been produced, I don't want to mention this thing, but it's called the RTPS, right? Real-time productivity steering. This is the next level of the drilling horizontal well, right? So drilling horizontal well, to know the real-time productivity steering, one of the parameters to calculate the what is that called, the I think this squaring or something. We need to get the effective porosity. The effective porosity is that usually we derive coming from density neutron, or if we get the sigma from the LWD, that's going to enhance the interpretation in the effective porosity. And then after that, we compare this one with the stethoscope measurement, enhance the measurement. So the PI can be computed by real time, stage by stage. Why we need the PI in real time? That because when we're drilling Optimus, so I mean, when we're drilling the well before we start, we always come with the optimum length on the horizontal wells, right? So we always come with 1,000 feet of the optimum length of the horizontal well. Then what happening is that after 1,000 feet, in case the reservoir pressure or the reservoir is not enough to produce a certain number of the expected production rates based on the subsurface feasibility study earlier, then by knowing the reservoir mapping tools, by having the reservoir mapping while drilling, and then by knowing the accurate expected production in reservoir in real time, so we can enhance, either we can continue drillings looking for another reservoir, or continue extend drilling another footage to get the actual expected production rate based on the subsurface modeling in earlier stage, right? So we don't need to wait until the initial production later during after the completion or after the testing, So we don't need to wait that long, because if we need to wait that long, we can just like say, oh yeah, we can just like getting that number of production, we take it, or just like that, So the RTPS idea, real-time productivity steering idea, is actually to eliminate the case, right? To eliminate the surprise during the initial production, and how we enhance geosteering, enhance extended length on the horizontal well. So then the expected production rates based on the reservoir engineer or subsurface requirement before drilling is met in real time. So this is the idea to get the DFA, and also to get the formation sampling while drilling, and to get this all information to accumulate the information, for the to optimum productivity steering. Yeah. So this is something that I can answer. I hope I answered that question, Mas Ridho.
Very well explained, Mas Gagok. Definitely, your answer is longer than my question, so I think that's enough. Thank you. Thank you, Mas Gagok. Thank you, Pak Julianta.
Thank you, Bang Ridho. We can talk later offline, ya.
Oh,
okay.
Sure.
Same.
Pak Gagok, another guru for me. Beli Benny, Beli Benny, geomechanic guy. Please, Beli Benny, unmute.
Beli Benny.
Hello, Mas Gagok, Bang Julianta. Good evening, everyone. This is Benny here from London, UK. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Rahajeng semang, Rahajeng semang atau Rahajeng?
Ya, sekarang jam 4 sore di
4 sore.
Yeah. So okay. I have only one or two questions here. But before that, thank you SPE Java for organizing this session, and thank you Bang Julianta for moderating the session. And salam juga untuk Bang William Ongse Putra yang sudah tetap jadi presiden SPE Java. I hope everyone is safe and healthy during this challenging time. And Mas Gagok, thanks for the new perspective. My question is this. Earlier you mentioned about geomechanics. Can you elaborate on how, these days, this geomechanical concept and approach could provide a real-time solution in horizontal drilling, or perhaps directional drilling, just to open up the perspective? Because not to mention the uncertainty, as you know, that comes along with the complexity of the subsurface, about the robustness or perhaps the limitation of the tools to sense the complexity downhole. What is your perspective on this, especially when it comes to horizontal drilling that by itself is already complicated? And then the second question is that, since the title of the talk is about new paradigm, in the context of a science, a paradigm shift, this is usually related or started by an accumulation of anomaly from the inability of the current technologies and approach to address the problems. So to me, the paradigm shift is not about introducing new technology and approach. So that's how I see it. Now the question is, what problems, challenges, and issues do you see these days that drive this paradigm shift? That the current technologies and approach that exist in the market are still incapable of addressing the issues. Are there any area of improvements or advancement that you see should you have the chance to propose? And even beyond the jargon of 4.0, because these days everyone says about 4.0, everyone wants to move to the cloud. But to me, the problem is still down there at the subsurface, dealing with the uncertainty. Moving to the cloud is not solving the problem, because the issue is always twofold. You are racing with time, of course. Then this 4.0 helps you a lot in terms of communication and how to make a decision. But still, advancement and technologies that helps you to reduce uncertainty downhole is still the key theme for me. I think I would like to ask your perspective about that, Mas Gagok. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mas Benny. So yeah, I'm answering the first question about the real-time geomechanical solution and what's my perspective in drilling horizontal well. Yeah. So well, I come with a lot of story when the geomechanics needed when we we come with a lot of drilling issue in the horizontal well. Yeah. So it's come like this, So one of the well that we drill in the in Southeast Asia, where we drilling not in the minimum stress or maximum stress, So we're drilling in the maximum stress in the reservoir, where in the bedding plane where it's propagated into that stress, So it caused a lot of stuck pipe, and it caused a lot of drilling difficulties on achieving that, So that's the first thing that we need to know. And then our recommendation when in Southeast Asia at that time, that we need to collaborate, because people try to eliminate the need of geomechanics in a pre-drill. And the reason being that because people perceive that I still have the offset well nearby that can be used as the parameters, right? So for example, like I'm drilling into this particular reservoir to the reservoir that I have no issue in here, yeah. But they using this kind of the lesson learned based on what given mud weight in the previous well to the current well, right? But that's apparently is no more valid nowadays, because I say that in the old fields, the reservoir is changing, right? And not only that, also that the bedding stress in each level of beddings can be different. For example, like if we open the well bore into the south, when actually the reservoir is into the north, it's actually producing different kind of stress compared if the reservoir is going to the north and we are drilling from the south into the north. it's producing different kind of the stress, right? So this is something that needed. So in the last approach that I did in Southeast Asia, that we always come to the reference on a geomechanics study before we drilling. And then what happening in the case that I show you in one field, we're drilling into the fault block in a certain slide, that actually is based on a geomechanic recommendation that I should not drill straight into the reservoir. I need to go beyond that things. Then after that, come back into the reservoir, that able to make it the stress levels low, so the enhanced drilling, drilling can be optimized. So this is the thing in the how to reach the reservoir. Right? The second one, how many times that actually the in my experience that the reservoir is not well produced enough, that because of we put wrong the sand screen size. Yeah, so we have a lot of sanding in there, that because either the compilation set is not properly designed based on the actual sand, or the reservoirs have a lot of sand that because of they are putting the well in the wrong directions, right? So this is something that need to be enhanced, right? So the integrated kind of study that we put here, apparently that unfortunately, sorry to say that, geomechanics is come to the drillings, while I would say the geomechanics supposed to be come to every level in here, where the candidate selection, we need to get like a geomechanics study before start entering into this one. While we come into the well construction, we need to get like real-time geomechanics kind of the process. When we come to this, we can enhance the optimum mud weight before entering into the reservoir, right? In the well completion for the sanding, something like that, is something that's very needed to get the geomechanics kind of a study, enhance the completion, and also to maximize direction of the well before a minute. And the well management, right? So in well management also, we need to know how long the reservoir can be extended, especially if you put like open hole grapher packs, in well, how long the open hole grapher pack can sustain the reservoir, how the reservoir become drawed down and the pressure is different. Is that going to break my compilation things? Something like that. In well management, we need to get something like that also continuously study. This is something that my perspective on geomechanics has been here. So answering into the second question about the, about technology gap, right? Nowadays, right? So yes, and technology gap here is become more complex, much more challenging now here, especially when you come with the drilling and also with the formation evaluation, right? And also the geosteering for sure. Formation evaluation and geosteering together. When we come with the geosteering, with the drilling, we as I believe when we come with the candidate selection on the geosteering, the subsurface team is not going to give you the easy reservoir, because if that easy reservoir, why I have to drill horizontal well, will it cost me double, right? So it's always come with a difficult reservoir to stage, right? And then the complexity is there for the drilling. So we need to get like certain roster is terrible that can pointing something right on the bit. I'm not discussing here, but in Schlumberger now we have the, my apologies to say, but because the information I got just only in the company that I'm working at the moment. But you can look at some things different later, that then how we are going to optimize the roster is stable as close as possible to the deep to the bits, right? So in Schlumberger, we have NeoSteer just like recently published just now in the market, that we have like bit and push the bit measurement that able to deliver hydrocolect in here. So this can be another adjustment, yeah, in here. And from the LVD itself and how we are going to optimize to stay in to detect something ahead, In my approach now, so we have a company called Irisphere that it has capabilities to look ahead while drilling, right? So to look ahead beyond the bit, right? So based on the resistivity electromagnetic propagation, where we can use this one to detect top of carbonate or the formation chain, also the pore pressure chains, right? So this is something that we can use to enhance the formation pressure ahead of the bit. Formation, something that we can integrate with the geomechanics workflow and how we are using the resistivity ahead of the bit to detect the pore space, right? And I believe in Indonesia, we have done first well, I think in Pertamina Cepu, is I'm not sure, maybe in Pertamina, but in Indonesia, where they're using array sphere to detect the top of the carbonate. So this is something that a gap that has been raised by this, right? And in horizontal well also, we need to get like something to look beyond the bit, you know, in the horizontal well, how we are looking beyond the bit, you know. So something like this, that we propose a new workflow in how we combine the ultra deep resistivity. In this case, in Schlumberger, it's called geosphere, to combine that with the 3D seismic from the surface seismic, right? So this is something that enhance the steering for the future. I'm not presenting here yet, because some of paper that we got is not been released. But this is concept that we can integrate together with the geoscience team, you know, and how we enhance the formation model in real time, being upgraded by the geosphere measurement, right? So this is something that we had. Another one also is that as we know, I think this is that like being unsolved until now, that the anisotropy kind of in LWD, right? So in how we are going to get this one. In Warland 2, we have the RT scanner where we can enhance the formation resistivity coming from the formation resistivity to get the accurate RH and RV formation resistivity, right? So for Pak Julianta later, or for geomechanics team, actually, to compute the actual anisotropy from the direct measurement. Yeah, we can get it from the actual delta T measurement, shear and compressional from the from the sonic tools, right? But from resistivity is still being unsolved at the moment for LWD, right? So this is something that we can enhance future, and I believe the anisotropy measurements always come with the quantitative interpretation, come with the how much the actual formation resistivity when you have to deal with the horizontal well. So this is something is unknown yet. We come with the another interpretation in Schlumberger is called 3DP, or like all the modeling that has been done, or inversion that we done in how to correct resistivity, but it's not really come to the it's not come to the quantitative number yet. No? So this is something that been the issue that we had, a gap that we need to enhance in horizontal drilling, right? So I think that's something that you look at this paradigm as the how to have the subsurface team in here in what is that called, the to enhance the accuracy to place the well inside this inside the reservoir. You know? I hope this answers your question, Benny. Yeah.
Thank you, Mas Gagok.
Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. So the next, there is a question from Pak Ferdi Rizal from Pertamina Hulu Mahakam. Please unmute, Pak Ferdi.
Okay, thanks, Mas Gagok, for the presentations, and Bang Julianta through the SPE Java to host this good sharing session. Good evening, all. Hope you are in good shape in the COVID-19 pandemic. I can't believe now in Saturday night I'm hearing the technical presentations, which is good now to leverage my knowledge. Mas Gagok, good to see you again. I hope you remember me around 2004 when I was well set in Jolisin Total.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Pak.
Okay, back to my questions. As you mentioned that the stratigraphic issues and the gas water contact is listed on the 10 biggest problem and during horizontal well, like stratigraphic issues like 25 wells and early breakthrough, some in 28 wells probably. So on my previous experience in Total E&P Indonesia, so there is those issues. Usually we drill first pilot hole until we observe the hydrocarbon water contact. After it was confirmed that then we continue to drill the horizontal drain. Of course, it costly money. Of course, I know that in few last slide that you mentioned the holistic approach that by combining the project management to de-risking the subsurface uncertainty, but and then the last answer that you explained also about the resistivity sphere or something like that. But is there any technology also that Schlumberger has now and then already applied around the world to avoid the pilot hole, to identify the reservoir target, or even the gas water contact? I think that's my question.
Thank you, Pak Ferdi. Yeah, so the pilot hole actually, the first one about the holistic things, right? So holistic things, then you might take a look back again the paper letters and how actually we approach that, you know. So it's ranging number of the well, you know. And the second one about pilot hole. So the pilot hole, based on the most subsurface objectives, so we have two things, right? So the pilot hole where you need to know the actual properties, not just like only in the reservoir that you're targeting in the horizontal well, but actually down in the horizontal well that another reservoir that needed, right? So in these cases, so if you plan to using that information actually to you know, for the future FDP, not for the current horizontal well, the pilot hole still need to be drilled. So this is something that need, but if your target is set only in one horizontal well, and then the pilot hole basically is for you to compromise the top of reservoir, that because the perceive from the subsurface, we have the uncertainties in there. For example, like if you landing too early, you may cause some like stuck pipe later in the horizontal section. If you're landing too deep later, you need to make some profiles to go back again to the reservoir that you're targeting. So it's going to cause a lot of completion later in the issue, right? So in these cases, yes, Schlumberger has the measurement which is called the you know, ultra deep resistivity measurement in geosphere, that able to delineate the top of the reservoirs. It's up to 100 feet before entering. So why the information is critical? That because by knowing the formation top in advance, so hence the trajectory can be adjusted accordingly to land the well accurately into the thin reservoir. Yeah, so this is kind of the approach that we had. Other than that, also in the horizontal well, sometimes before you land it, you need to know the actual properties, such as the water or oil. Yeah. So there's sometimes you need the pilot hole to delineate these things, right? By you know, by doing this, since the tools actually is propagated based on the electromagnetic propagation, so then we need to get the resistivity measurement in advance to know is that reservoir is actually populated by water or by oil. So this is something that can differentiate by this measurement, right? So this is some proven technology that we are using either in some of the SPE paper that I captured earlier in the previous slide, yeah? But if your things that to differentiate between gas and oil contact, it's something like still like a question. You may need to contact some like representative people in you know, in Indonesia to do a feasibility, because sometimes that the gas and oil, the resistivity different is not much different compared between each other, you know. So electromagnetic propagation alone might not sufficient to differentiate the gas and oil. That sometimes we need to get density and neutron measurement to compromise this change different, right? So then that if that's the case, sometimes the deep measurement might not compromise to answer that the problem, yeah. So this is something that I can answer, Mas Ferdi Reza. Is that okay?
Thanks,
for you,
Mas?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Wow, it's very interesting Q&A, Pak Gagok. So before we continue, just want to remind to all the participants. So basically this lecture is made possible by SP membership. So as reminder, please renew your membership or register as a member under spe.org so you can contribute and enjoy the full of benefits. Okay, that's some update news from SP Java. So back to the Q&A session. We have Pak Tino. Mas Tino, please unmute your mic and directly to Pak Gagok.
Thank you, Pak Julianta.
Pak Tino.
Thank you for the presentation, Pak Gagok. And good evening for everyone. Okay, I have a simple question. It is about the thin in reservoir. So is it possible to control the horizontal drilling still on the target in thin reservoir? For example, it's only 5 to 10 meter thickness of the reservoir target. Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Thank you, Pak Tino. Yes, Pak. So it's very possible. Yeah. So in fact now is in some of the cases that I have in Indonesia earlier, we able to drill the well in within 2 to 3 meters thickness in reservoir. Yeah. So but we have an option here, right? So if you design the well that yes, we have a lot of methods actually to complete the well. Yeah. I think there is some like several kind of the success story that has been done by by some geosteering college in Indonesia to optimize the well within that thickness. Yeah. So we have two things, right? We have the proactive and we have the reactive geosteering, right? So reactive geosteering is that for example, like if you need to understand that you need to know the LWD, the bit has to penetrate into the shale up and below, then we can see the change. Then you make the reaction going up or going down, something like that, So that's something that can be doable also. Another concept that can be done is that the proactive geosteering, where you're using the bed boundary mappers in the geosteering, that you can map the overall thickness within 5 to 10 meters thickness of reservoir. Then you control the well in the middle, right? So this is something that proactive using bed boundary mappers technology that I believe in Schlumberger it is called periscope. And I believe a lot of company also providing the same similarities of the concept by having the bed boundary mappers and hence the boundary orientation in distance. So the geosteering can be adjusted before we actually penetrate into the shale above and below. But I'm telling you one story that I have drilled a well for more than 7,000 feet by using the gamma ray only. Yeah. So this is something that I have done in US where I'm completing the well in the shale oil. So in shale oil, as you know, that we are using the gamma ray to complete the horizontal section, that we need to make sure that we are staying in the very good gamma ray quality, very good shale quality, not to exceed something. So we're using correlation. And the good things that we have like almost 10 to 15 meters of the shale thickness at that time. And then between one to the other shale, in that inside the shale, we actually having some like a lot of patterns that it can correlate, to compute the, the correlation along the horizontal section. That helped me a lot and optimally to stay the well in this certain target reservoir based on the, this thing. So this is something that's very doable. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I hope I answered, but you're welcome, Pak.
Okay, Pak Tino is answering your question. So the next is from your college, Pak Gagok. Mr. Eki, please unmute your microphone.
Halo, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
It's been a long time I didn't meet you here. So,
yeah, since COVID-19 is being locked down.
Well, yeah, I think I got the answer of the question from the answer of previous question. But
yeah.
Still, I will need to get the many point of view from every guys, especially from the expert like you. Like, how can the artificial intelligence or machine learning help the geosteering project? What is your point of view?
Well, I thought I'm staying here. Stay tuned. But why are you answering? Why are you asking this question to me like that? Well, I can give you a good vision, right?
Yeah.
So, artificial intelligence is about data, right? Yeah. So you have the data, then you can train the data to you can train the data that to compromise of the signatures that you may get later in the in geosteering, right? The simple data is like this: if you have lower resistivity then sound the alarm, something like this, But the lower resistivity, what does that mean? Is that close to the top or close to the bottom, right? Something like this, we are hitting into the fault, something like that, So it's something from the known data letters, from the interpretation given by the people, is going to give something, the warning. There's something that it can enhance these things. Right? So the data is the first one. The second one is about the coherency. Coherency is the when we start talking about the designing the well, we need to get the coherency, right? So it's allow you to not repeating the same mistake of what we did the previous one. This is coherency. We need to get the what is that, when you designing the well, we need to get like the orchestral kind of the concept on how you designing the well based on the given offset well data. So then you can have the coherency on it. Again, we need to get data, and the data need to be trained here, right? So to get the data trained, we need to get like properly mapped in every single data in here. So this is second one. The third one is the collaborative kind of the environment, collaborative platform, that the system that allow you to get the data from the single pool of data. So for example, like the subsurface, well construction, well drilling engineers, completion, and the well management is taking data coming from the same pool data. So we need to get something like measurement like that the geostring 4.0 can be enhanced together. As I said earlier, that the geostring 4.0 is not just the geostring, right? So it's the integration, yeah? So this is the third one. The fourth one that I didn't mention here, that for the automation later, it is needed to get the advanced measurement that has capabilities to map the well, to map the reservoir in 3D. So the 2D and 3D visualization is mandatory in here. And the acquisition need to be in the high speed. So it is not compromise letters that we have limited, a transmit rate from the field to the from field to the office, that because the the transmit rate is down because of the thunder or some like the something like this, So it's not really like doing like this. So we need to get like the we need to eliminate the gap between what people in the field and what people in town, and the data can be visualized for all the people, which is having the access into the single platform. Yeah, so this is something that I would like to say, Pak Ricky. Pak Ricky?
All right, I think
I hope this answers my question.
Well, yeah. Because of the time, I think we can discuss offline.
Yes.
For now, it's enough.
Anytime.
For now, thank you so much.
Actually, I'm planning to present some like the 4.0 in locally. So stay tuned with me later, so we can preview something.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pak Istian, Pak Eki. The next, still about CBM. Pak Adam, please unmute your microphone.
Adam.
Hello. Good evening, Mas Gagok.
Pak Adam. Good evening, Pak.
I would like to ask you for the similar terms for in sand reservoir with the CBM technology. As you mentioned before, in CBM technology, we would like to have fishbone-like structure in horizontal wells to improve withdrawal rate of water. So if we have a sand reservoir with not very thick reservoir, but not also thin reservoir, just moderate, and we have initial plan, we have two plans. Let's say we can improve the horizontal length section of the wells, of horizontal wells, to improve the number of hydraulic fracturing section stage. Or we can also use another option is to make another branch or another side track to different direction. Let's say one to the north or one to the south, or fishbone like, just like CBM. What do you think the better option for this kind of reservoir? And what are challenges for both of the options? Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Adam. Better option, yeah. So you have option now is to complete the well with a fishbone well, or to do fracturing, right? Hydraulic fracturing in the certain stages, right? And what is the better option? And what is the challenge that you going to face in that option, right? Okay, so let me give you an overview with the fishbone well. Yeah, fishbone well, of course, it's going to be more cost in drilling, and then it's going to be more risk later in the sand particularly. Let me tell you the difference between sand and CBM, right? In CBM, as we know that we are using air drilling, right? Air drilling, then, or like say air drilling is like a foam, you know, so underbalance drilling that the concern is coming from the drilling is eliminated, you know, so it's always like that. But we can't do that in the sands, right? In the sand, we not able to make it the fishbone well like this. The reason is that because of the borehole stability in the sands also is challenging, right? So there's the thing, but it doesn't mean that it's not doable. Yes, we did that many of wells. Some of the wells already, not the fishbone, but the trilateral, dual lateral, something like that, that enhance production into reservoir in there, you know. So we managed to get the completion set for each one, things like that, you know. So the key differentiation is that it's not a fishbone, but a dual laterals. Dual laterals that when you set the casing like in the sail section just like above you, or we set the casing just like in the ferro cap rocks set in just like above reservoir, then you start drilling from the casing into the south and then turn the well into the south. Then after that, in the second subtrack, after you set the completion, then in the second subtrack, you set the well into the north, you know, you put a subtract like that. And then this is something that has been done in some of the well that I have, you know. But to come with the fishbone, I personally never had that experience on the fishbone, but this is something that feasible. This always come with these things, right? The fishbone, as you mentioned in CBM, is always open hole fishbone, right? So after you complete the first well here like this, as you see in my slide, after you complete the first well here, then you can just like going up, set the BHA, do time drilling, then going up here, you know, going down here. So you ignoring this one. The reason of doing that, just like to create the fractures inside that reservoir. But this is something that doable also in the reservoir, but to prolong the reservoir because of the sanding, something like that, I didn't have any feasibility on it. Yeah, yeah. So something like that. From a drilling standpoint point of view, this is something doable. But you need to look at the geomechanical study later if the by having the open hole gravel pack alone can sustain the sand the sand pressure for long term. You know, it's something that I didn't do yet, or I didn't have an experience. Maybe somebody else having the experience, but I don't have any kind of answer for it. For the this is for sand, yeah. But I will tell you one on the carbonates. In a carbonate, it's something that almost similar. So, yes, we drill like some of the fishbone in carbonate. I know that in carbonate, when you come to calcined limestone, this is some like porous. Then you need to enhance the open area in there by doing this thing. This is something that has been done. Yeah, in carbonate, generally, if you're drilling, it's usually is the stability in reservoir is pretty much maintains. So, and the cutting also can be compromised. You know, something that I have. So the second one is the in terms of the hydraulic fracturing. So this is the common actually in the sand. You know, instead of doing this, we did a fracturing, hydraulic fracturings. So something that I would like to mention about this with the hydraulic fracturing is that the design has to be accurate in here, right? So in terms of the placement, also need to be in the same layer. I'm telling you one story that I have that in the sand reservoir, we entering into different layer of the sands, and then the fracture actually is not able to, we're not able to frac in a certain reservoir because of the pressure set from one reservoir to the reservoir is different. So to be able to make it like good fracturings, I suggest to get like a single sand reservoir. For example, like you're drilling like 1,000 feet in single sand, then you enhance this fracturing in single sands. Yeah. But if you plan to drill in the 2 different sand or 3 different sand in the same reservoir, so you need to be careful on designing the frac design. Sometimes you not be able to frac into the stage frac. It's not able to frac in some of the sands, So this is something in my experience in looking on the fracturing stages after we complete the well. Yeah. So this is something. In terms of the economic, I don't have any feasibility on economic and which one's better in economic. Yeah. So I never have a comparison on how much the fracturing job and how much drilling in this thing. But I can maybe between one vendor to the other vendors can be different, and the the capacity on each kind of technology can be different. So something that I can answer you, Mr. Adam. Yeah. Is that something
Thank
that
you.
Mr. Adam? Okay.
Thank you, Mas Gagok, for your answer and presentation.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, Mas Adam. So I think we come up to the last question, Mas Gagok, since the time is getting close to 10. From Pak Andar. So actually the question is about coil tubing drilling. Pak Andar, can you unmute your microphone?
Halo, Pak Julianta.
Yes, Pak Andar. How are you?
Okay.
Andar.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Julianta. Thank you, Mas Gagok. Just a quick question. Since we are talking about the marginal field in this horizontal well, do you have an example of the horizontal well when we drill through drilling in a coil tubing drilling?
Yes, Mas Andar. I have example, but I don't have any release yet until now. So in Saudi particularly, we are ahead of these things. We are going ahead with the coil tubing drilling on the optimize the well in here. Yeah. So the criteria in here is that the geosteering for LWD, we need to get this. I mean, I believe we need to get like LWD, which is fit for the slim coil tubing in drillings, right? And also a capacity is to get like a very good mud motor or something like that can be enhance the coil tubing drillings in here. Yeah. So in terms of the completion, the well is unlimited actually. We can drill the well up to many, more than 2,000-3,000 feet. And horizontal drilling in the coil tubing drilling has been done. Yeah. And actually in my first well actually, but not coil tubing, but the slim hole drilling was in Balikpapan. It was when using in Total at the time that using slim hole drillings to complete the well, subtracting the well from the casing into just like to complete 100 feet out of the reservoir in a good zone. So this is something that's been done. Yeah. So now we move towards into like that, So the coil tubing drilling is favorable now, and I believe most of the oil operator and oil service company, it has been developing the slim hole LWD, which is fit with the coil tubing drilling to complete this. Yeah, this is something that's doable, and this can be like a future also prospect in yes.
For the measurement, you use only gamma ray, or you bring also the images?
Images, some of the rotation is something like that. Images, something that we put together. So so we need to get the LWD actually in front of the rotary cerebral, because as I know in the coil tubing drilling is not rotate, right? So the only component which is rotate is that below the mud motor and below, right? So we need to get like powerful mud motors to be able to rotate the LWD in here, then to get the images. Yeah. So this is something that's been done, but in my personal experience, it's just like done by the gamma ray only. So we never had this, gamma ray and resistivity only. So this is something that only be done, not azimuthal resistivity. Yeah, only a conventional resistivity in my experience.
Okay, Mas Gagok. Clear. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Pak Andar, Mas Gagok, I think we have my team leader here, Pak Agung Ertanto, since in Medco Natuna we have done some 2 wells coil tubing drilling. Maybe Pak Agung, you can add something.
Yeah, Pak Agung.
Please unmute Pak Agung. Mas Agung Ertanto.
Hello everyone, I'm Agung from Medco Natuna.
Mas Agung.
Hello, Mas
Can you
Agung.
hear me, Pak?
Very well.
Oke, salam kenal semuanya. Yeah, I think we had experience drilling using CTD, but unfortunately we have to stop the program because there was too many problems during drilling, Pak.
Okay.
So basically, before we decided to drill using CTD, we did evaluation to compare between fishbone and multi-stage frac, and then finally we decided to choose a CTD because it was told that it was very cheap at that time. It's only start from 6 million compared to drilling about 20 million per well. And yeah, but because the reservoir is too complex, basically we have a sand shale layer, and we avoided to penetrate the depleted sand in the upper part of the existing well. And our well trajectory was quite complex, like what do you call it, going downside track and then up again, because the target is still on the upper section but we have to drill from below. But the problem was we cannot build up the angle to drill to the upper section. Yeah, and then after that we tried to evaluate another opportunity how to develop the field, basically not to develop but to redevelop the field. And yeah, that's like fishbone and multilateral well was our option basically. But I think at that time the cost was very, very high compared to the CTD. Yeah, I think that's what I can say from the pilot project, Pak.
So did you manage to complete 1 well with the CTD, Pak?
Yeah, but we had to change the trajectory from very long, but drilling people say that, oh, we cannot drill that long, and then we decided to shorten the trajectory. Yeah, we finally complete the revised trajectory, but when we produce it, unfortunately we drill the virgin reservoir, but we experience the water contact already move up, and then we have to produce a lot of water from the wells. Because at the time we use
the water is coming from what?
The water coming from the lower section of the reservoir.
Okay.
So we didn't expect that the water already come to that sand. So we drill that sand just to pass through the sand and then to the main target. But because in CTD we are using the open hole, so we cannot isolate the sand.
Yep. The fracture, yes. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, at the time we really hope that the CTD can be a solution from our field redevelopment, because we plan to drill more than 44 laterals if the pilot project was successful. But and then from the 3 pilot project, because the cost was too expensive, up to similar to the
drilling project.
Yeah, similar to the deviated wells. And then SKK Migas decided to stop the pilot. So we canceled the third well, and then we canceled the whole CTD project.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main problem of the CTD is the what to call it, the weight on bit, I guess.
Yep. Wet on bit, and also did you try to use the higher coil size, something like that? I mean the bigger part. Well, I believe the wet on bit can be eliminated by the if they have like a proper you know, torque and drag and something like the, you know, simulation before it's drilling. You know, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
So,
they did a simulation, and
simulation, right?
yeah, of course, because the tubing size is 4.5, and then we have to use the 238, I guess, the coil. I forget 238 or 278.
278 mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, and this that was the biggest challenge, but the weight on bit, I guess, because the reservoir too complex. We have a sand shell, and then we have a different geological environment. So it's not only one like a channel, and then so we have many sands that we have to penetrate, and then we have we have shell in between.
But I would say to you that the mainly in here in Aramco, they drill it with the in carbonate wells, yeah, and there is no issue with it in carbonate. Yeah,
yeah,
so
because at the time before we was acquired by Medco, so was ConocoPhillips, and we had a lot of experience drilling CTD in Alaska.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to bring their expertise to Indonesia, basically. Yeah. And then we hired one consultant from Conoco, also from service company in Baker Hughes. Yeah, to be a consultant for our project in here. Yeah, but after that, after the drilling was, I mean, the project was stopped, and then we did after drilling review. One of the conclusion is CTD was not successful because the reservoir was too complex, basically.
Yeah.
Pak, if I may say, if only we target only one reservoir with a simple trajectory, do you think that CTD could be a success?
I guess so, Pak. And because this is pilots on the single trajectory, basically, but for the future project, basically, we want to drill 2 or 3 or 4 the branches. No, one well with 4 branches, Pak. Because we want to maximize our contact with the reservoir. So basically, in this sand, we had a problem with diagenetic issue. So it's destroy everything, relationship between porosity and permeabilities. It's not like a textbook field. It's very complex. And then one of the solutions is to drill more wells to have more contact to the reservoir. And CTD was the best solution at the time because it was predicted to be cheap, and we can drill 2 or 3 lateral in the reservoir.
In the reservoir, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but.
But if we have one layer, thick layer, and then we penetrate only that layer, I think CTD can be successful.
Okay.
I got it, Pak. Okay, Pak. Thank you for the information, Pak. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Mas Agung, for your insight. And I think well tubing drilling will be one of the solution for the marginal field in Indonesia, Pak Gagok.
Yes.
And this is still homework for many production sharing contract in Indonesia, and also homework for SK Kimigas. So I think we are at the end of the session. Actually, there is still one question, but maybe Mas Hangga, you can talk offline with Mas Gagok. So again, on behalf of SPE Java, we are happy hosting this kind of event, knowledge sharing about horizontal drilling, challenge and opportunity in Indonesia. And last but not least, I would like to remind again This lecture is basically made possible by SP membership. So please renew your membership or register as a member under spe.org. So we can contribute and enjoy all the full benefits. And again, Pak Gagok, on behalf of SP Java, we would like to say and express gratitude and thanks because your willingness to share with us. And last but not least, I think this is time for us to have a picture together. Please open your video. Show up all the video. Mas Gagok, maybe you can stop sharing.
Stop sharing, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let me snapshot for all the participants tonight. Wait. Okay, second page. Open the video. And the last one. Okay, and now maybe Pak William, you want to say something from SP Java President? Please, Pak William.
Yeah, thank you, Julianta, and thank you very much, Pak Gagok, for the incredible lecture. This is by far most subscribed session, yeah, and it's very amazing that this is on Saturday evening. So thank you very much, Pak Gagok, for the very interesting material, and thank you so much for the audience participating.
Okay, so just gentle reminder for all participants, we have open registration for young professional. So basically this is the Ambassador Lecture Program 2020. So you can register, send your 30-minute presentation to this email address, java@spemail.org, and we'll show you 96@gmail.com, no later than May 18, 2020. So this ambassador lecture basically for SP young professional below 36 years old, and fresh graduate can apply. Okay, I think that's it from me. Again, I think this malam minggu is very interesting for all of us. Thanks, Pak Gagok. Thanks to all the participants who can stay late until now. Thanks to all participants from Europe, from Middle East, and hopefully we can continue for the next SPE TDG.
Thank you, Mas Julianta. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gagok. Thank you, Lai Julianta.
Thank you for the sharing.
Yeah, all video will be published in SP Java YouTube channel.
Yeah, thank you SP Java.
Thank you SP Java, Julianta.
Thank you, SP Java.
Thank you, Mas Ari. Oh, we have so many senior ya, Mas Ari.
Aku selalu menyimak dari tadi loh. Mantap pengetahuannya. Q&A-nya terutama, Q&A-nya mantap sekali.
Ari.
Bang Amang, wah luar biasa nih, kawan-kawan Balikpapan.
Itu udah Fajri.
Wah, luar biasa ini.
Lai.
Bang Andar ini senior saya geosteering nih, Bang Andar nih.
Lai Julianta.
86, Bang. Oke.
Bang Andar masih ingat aku, Bang Andar?
Siapa, Om?
Masih ingat aku kah, Rido?
Masih Om.
Wah, sesama alumni di CS Access masa lupa.
Mana Om?
Nah, itu aku di samping Cak Gagok itu aku, screen aku.
Kita tetangga ya di mana-mana ya Ridho ya.
Iya Cak, aduh. Kapan nih ke Surabaya Cak? Kabarin lah.
Iya tuh, aduh kangen makan rawon setan ternyata di Surabaya.
Jos sih. Ini diaspora ex Schlumberger ini ya.
Diaspora ex Schlumberger.
Kumpul lagi nih malam ini.
Ini ada juga Bang Rainer nih, jagoannya coil tubing drilling ini. Bang Rainer mana Bang Rainer?
Mas Reno?
Iya. Oh, udah live kelihatannya. Ya,
Mas Rainer kalau nggak salah di NM ya, di NM di Balikpapan ya dulu ya.
Benar. Sekarang udah di Baker.
Wah.
Rainer